think the best usage of company accounts is to point out employees and to point out trends happening within the company or the industry at large. It's kind of the unified message, but there's a lot of companies out there who just list out their employees and point them at it. So if you go to Twitter.com Square, you can see all of my new company's employees, and they can say whatever they want. And you know, I think there's an understanding by a lot of the recipients now that this is a personal, in many ways, this is a personal account. They work at this company, and I have to take that into consideration in reading this particular update. That's, again, hard to do, but it just allows for maximum freedom and flexibility. So oftentimes, I control the main Square corporate account, and one of our engineers says something that I find inspiring or just right on point, or something that we want to expose to a larger audience, and I just retweet that, and then you get a lot of like the employee, the engineer feels great because they've contributed to the overall messaging and direction potentially of the company, and the rest of the world gets to see the individuals that make this thing work.
And similarly, if you are at a publisher and you want to promote books or authors, what's the best way to do that?
So what's the best way to promote books and authors as a publisher? I think the best way is what I've seen be successful and what I enjoy is when the publisher just points to the author's account, if they have an account. If they have something, if they have something that is updated in some sort of daily or weekly or even monthly fashion. Because I really, if I'm reading a book, oftentimes I want to learn more about who created that work, and especially if I could read the book and also get commentary along the way, or even interact with that author. So for instance, my favorite author in the world is Margaret Atwood, and she's on Twitter, and she is amazing on Twitter. She is so funny. And just in a very surprising way. But like my vision of Margaret Atwood when I was reading all of her books, and I read every book, every piece of work she's ever put out, is like she's like this, she walks on air, and she's somewhere up in Canada, like walking on evergreens, and she just lives this perfect life surrounded by velvet curtains. And, like, it was just so rich, because her literature is so rich. And that's what I'm fascinated by. But to see her updates, I mean, she's just like, she's cutting, and she's funny, and she talks about normal things, and she actually, most importantly, she reaches out to all of her readers. Like if someone says like, what is this passage about, or what is your intent with this character, she'll actually reply and say like, I don't know, there's just something I thought of like when I was in the shower. It doesn't really, there's no strategic aspect to putting that character in the book. And it's just been awesome to, especially like with her new book, to be able to have that resource, to have her watching how people are reading her book and reacting to her book and responding in real time, and that as a consumer of her work just inspires me to stay there and to buy more work. It just gets me excited about everything she's doing. So I'm just waiting for her next work, and I will buy it as soon as it comes out. I'll pre-order it. So I think that's the most inspiring thing that a publisher can do, is just point to the creators and enable them to have their own voice and to say whatever they want, and to really encourage them to reach out to their readers and the people that they interact with in the book, or the research subjects of the book, because they're likely on these networks as well. I just think it creates a lot more engagement.
Do you think people are going to start publishing books of tweets? I know this has happened. And what do you think of the copyright and fair usage situation surrounding collections of tweets?
There has been a few publications of tweets, and in our terms of service, all content is owned by the creator, so it's owned by the user. That requires any republishing to go to that particular user. And I think the books that have come thus far, they've been very good about reaching out to every single user, which is kind of difficult right now given the one-way mechanism of a direct message or the potential for an out reply being lost. It takes a lot of work right now. Maybe there's ways we can smooth that over. But I think we'll see more and more of that, because like 140 characters can actually capture an entire universe. And I think when you string them together in certain ways and you provide a narrative around them, they become very, very interesting, and it's just another way to see this content. So I hope that there are more works that are all tweets or intermixed with tweets.
Would you talk about Square?
Sure. Sure. Well, maybe this will help publishing as well. But Square. So Twitter. One thing I recognize with Twitter is, and my big takeaway from it is the three concepts. It provides immediacy, transparency, and approachability to communications. And I think those three concepts can also be applied to other industries. And the two that are most fascinating to me today are healthcare and the financial world. Started Square a year ago in the midst of the financial meltdown. And it was this very interesting thing, because like here we had built up all these abstractions around money, and they were all crashing down and getting back to a base foundation of understanding. And when I started thinking about like payments in the financial world, I realized that paying someone is just another form of communication. It's inherently social, and it's never really been considered or designed as such. And the other thing that was happening is 90% of this country has a plastic card in their pocket that they use to pay for things, but only 2 to 3% of the country can accept those payments. So if you owe me $50 and all you have is a Amex card, then I don't get my $50. So I owe my $50. So we designed a little card reader. This is a credit card reader, and it's self-powered, and we're going to give them away for free. And this plugs into any device that you have that has a 3.5 millimeter jack. So a BlackBerry, an Android, a iPhone, iPod Touch, iPad, your desktop, laptop, computer, you can plug this in, and then you can swipe a credit card. So what that means is that I can go around and I can be a babysitter or a dog walker, and I can suddenly take payments right away. I can sell my couch on Craigslist for $1,000, and I don't have to ask anyone to bring $1,000 to the middle of a bad neighborhood in San Francisco, or to get a money order, because I don't trust that their checks are going to clear, so I can just take a credit card from them. So the idea is to enable more usage of a payment device that we all use today, and then build something new on top of that and really design and consider it. And it really spans so many areas of usage: craft fairs, book fairs, selling your book individually. We have one author who wrote a book called 140 Characters, which is a style guide for Twitter. His name is Dom. He's been going around the country doing book signings, and he just sells the book right there. And he takes people's credit cards for $20, and it goes directly into his bank account.
And he needs no relationship with Visa, MasterCard, Amex, whomever.
No, there's no. So you download the application. It's completely free. You start it up, and you can start accepting credit cards right there.
And they just take their cut off the top.
Yeah, that's it. That's Square.
People who make paper for money will be happy.
Well, that's the other thing.